She quietly presented an old black card. No barcode, no ID number, just a faint glowing emblem. The guards burst out laughing. "What's this?" "A cookie box label." One of them jokingly tapped it against the scanner and froze when the system blared. "Override level. Zeta welcome Commander Mitchell." Within 5 seconds, the entire base went dark and the woman they had handcuffed 1 minute earlier now had the authority to command the entire operation. Sarah Mitchell stood at the gate of Fort Crestwood, a sprawling military base in Virginia, her plain jeans and faded jacket out of place among the crisp uniforms. She was 28 with dark hair pulled into a loose ponytail, her face tired. She held a small canvas bag and that black card with its strange triangular emblem that pulsed faintly like a heartbeat. The guards had no idea what they were looking at. They saw her scuffed sneakers, her lack of insignia, and decided she was nothing. Private Jenkins recovered first. "Nice prank," he said, snatching the card. "What you print is a Kinko's." Corporal Diaz leaned in, tossing her bag onto the gravel. "No weapon, no gear. You selling snacks or what?" Sergeant Ruiz joined in, dumping Sarah's notebook and pen onto the ground. "This ain't a tourist stop. Honey, get lost." Sarah's gaze dropped to the scattered items. "I'm here on orders," she said, her voice low, steady. Jenkins laughed louder. "Orders from who, your mom?" At the checkpoint, Specialist Torres took one look at Sarah's card and snorted. "This is a military base, not a sci-fi convention." He slid the card back like it was trash. "Sweetheart, why don't you go home and play with your glow-in-the-dark toys?" The other soldiers laughed. Sarah picked up the card slowly. "You'll want to check your system again," she said. Torres waved her off. Soldiers started circling. Private Larson scanned her card again, expecting an error, but the scanner lit up purple, a color none of them had seen before. The laughter died. Captain Peterson stormed out. "What the hell's going on?" he barked. "You think you can crash my base's systems with some toy? Restrain her." Before Sarah could speak, 2 soldiers grabbed her arms. Ruiz snapped handcuffs on her wrists. "I have special level clearance," Sarah said softly. Peterson cut her off. "No one speaks unless I say so." They marched her to a holding room. As Sarah was led to the base, Private Malone shouted, "Hey, look, it's the fake soldier." He grabbed her canvas bag and tossed it into a muddy puddle. "Go back to your day job, lady." The holding room was bare. Sarah sat, hands cuffed behind her. Peterson stood in the doorway. "She's probably some hacker wannabe." Ruiz leaned against the wall, smirking. "Bet she stole that card from a real soldier." Then the red phone rang. Peterson grabbed it. "Yes, sir," he said, then went pale. The voice was loud enough to carry. "Did you just put handcuffs on Sarah Mitchell?" It was General Crowley. "She's the last surviving operative from Operation Dragon Eye. Release her now." Peterson stammered. "Yes, sir." He turned to Sarah. "Ma'am, she cut him off. "I don't need an apology. I need your cooperation." Ruiz uncuffed her, hands trembling. Sarah rubbed her wrists and picked up her bag. The soldiers watched silent, their earlier bravado gone. Larson whispered, "That's above the president." Inside the operations room, Lieutenant Colonel Doyle spotted her and froze. "You're the reason my team died," he boomed. "Mitchell, the lone survivor Dragon Eye." Lieutenant Harris chimed in. "Probably just hid behind the front line." Doyle pointed at Sarah. "You don't belong here." He grabbed a cup of water and tipped it over her documents. "Oops." Harris laughed. "If it wasn't for that weird card, you'd be washing dishes." Sarah looked at the ruined papers. "You finished?" she asked, her voice low. She moved to the main console and placed her hand on the biometric sensor. The screens lit up with a 3D map showing covert units from Operation Dragon Eye, their positions marked as terminated. Sarah pointed to a transmission route. "This was sabotage," she said. The map showed offshore bank accounts, deposits timed to the exact moment of the mission's failure. She looked at Doyle. "I wasn't the only survivor. I was the only one who didn't betray us." The room froze. Doyle's face drained of color. Officers leaned forward. An officer whispered, "She's got proof." During a briefing the next day, Major Kendall interrupted. Hold up. We're letting the card girl lecture us now. He grabbed her pointer, tossing it across the table. I bet she's just here to look pretty. The officers laughed. Sarah paused. You need this more than I do, she said, sliding the pointer back. The laughter faded. Later, Lieutenant Harris caught up to Sarah. Ma'am, I'm really sorry. I didn't know who you were. He reached out, placing a hand on her shoulder. Can we start over? Sarah stepped back. Starting over doesn't mean wiping things clean, she said. Next time, learn to read a symbol before you judge a person. That afternoon, a helicopter landed. The Secretary of Defense stepped out and walked straight to the command center. Commander Mitchell, he said, handing her a sealed dossier. Welcome back. Doyle was escorted out by MPs. Sarah opened the dossier and took the command seat. The main screen lit up. Mission reinstated Commander Sarah Mitchell. Officers stood straighter. An older officer, Colonel Vance, leaned toward his colleague. We just threw water in the face of a lion wearing a jean jacket, he muttered. Sarah spread the papers across the table and began briefing the team, her voice clear, her presence filling the room. The consequences came swiftly. Jenkins was discharged. Ruiz was demoted. Malone lost his training post. Doyle faced a court-martial. Sarah didn't watch their falls. She kept moving, her card now a symbol of truth, her step steady, her silence loud. Soldiers stepped aside, their salutes crisp. She didn't look for validation. She didn't need their apologies. Her truth was in her actions, her scars, her quiet strength. The world had judged her too fast, but she'd stood tall, and the scales had balanced.